Now, if you've ever tried to study objects that spin, I'm a big fan of martial arts tricking and gymnastics and tumbling, so I love studying the physics of spinning geometries. And you might be aware of an effect called the Dzhanibekov effect, named after a Russian cosmonaut who observed that when spinning in zero G, tools that were top heavy would spin and then eventually flip and start spinning the other way before flipping again and spinning back. This effect is known as the Dzhanibekov effect. Now, some scientists speculate that the Earth and the unique shape and situation that it's currently in means that if a magnetic pole shift took place, that the Earth itself can dissipate the extra energy and avoid having to completely topple over. And I believe now we have the magnetic poles moving from the North Pole all the way to somewhere in Russia. And it's moving somewhat rapidly, the magnetic North Pole. And we know that the magnets are working. We can pull out a compass and it'll point to the north and point to the south. So then we have this neat graphic, courtesy of NASA, that shows the wobble spin of the Earth itself, the tilt of the Earth. I don't believe NASA has come out and publicly announced that the Earth could dramatically pole shift, but you can see the proof of concept here. If the Earth is in fact an oblate spheroid, that means that it's top heavy. And if a top heavy object is spinning, eventually it will want to correct itself and flip. Now, if that happened on a global scale, what would it feel like to be a small little human experiencing a dramatic global pole shift? When people talk about the end of the world, they often just think about comet perhaps, or nuclear holocaust. They don't think about all the potential, all the different variables that could come into play that would reset the world as we know it. And one of those most curious of all the apocalyptic scenarios is a magnetic pole shift, a dramatic global magnetic pole shift. Now, if the magnetosphere is separate from the globe and it just moves itself, that could cause extreme weather. But if the crust detaches from the mantle while this pole shift happens and slides around, that could create the most dramatic apocalyptic effect that we've ever seen in history, where the crust is spinning, the water stays in the same spot. So instead of the tsunami of the waters rushing onto land, it's actually the land rushing under the water. Now, that's preposterous, right? Everything's preposterous. But let's point to some evidence that does suggest that this may have occurred in the past a couple times. Now, what would that evidence be? Well, scientists in Greenland have found remnants of a rainforest. But if you look at Greenland's location, it's clearly not sustainable to have a rainforest there. Likewise, if you go to the other end of the Earth and you look at Antarctica, buried underneath all those tons and tons of snow is a very fertile landmass, the size of North America or bigger. So the implication is that both Greenland and Antarctica didn't used to be where they are right now on the map, and that at other points in history, or other points in the world's history, they were in more tropical locations that allowed these conditions to exist.